Hi everybody, this is Alexandra Lantz with my online overview for Module 1. Okay, so just a little bit about me. I'm a first grade teacher in the Central Dauphin School District, and I just started yesterday my 4th year teaching, which is crazy. I still feel like a first year teacher half the time. I did 1 year in kindergarten, and then this is my 3rd year teaching first grade. I love it. Here are some pictures of my classroom this year. And some more fun facts about me is I did my undergrad at Penn State. I graduated in 2016 in early childhood education. I love Penn State. I'm a dance teacher. After school, I've danced my whole life. I love dance, and I teach at the studio that I danced at when I was younger. And I love horseback riding. This is a picture of my horse, Goliath. We call him the gentle giant because he's huge, but he's really sweet. My experience in an online environment is not very much. I don't have a ton of experience. I guess the only classes I've really taken online have been through Millersville for this master's program. I've never taught online. Our district has just started really getting in those Chromebooks for the primary level, so we don't even have a ton of experience using those. So I'm excited for this class to really broaden my horizons about teaching online, hopefully using different technology in the classroom. Okay, so the first question I chose to address was from the YouTube video, Inside the Life of a Cyber School Teacher. And I thought the quote, "good teaching is good teaching," did make sense in a way. All teachers, no matter where you're teaching, must differentiate for various learners, and they must be creative and engaging, use best practices, stay up to date on curriculum, strategies, material, technology, you name it. And I think these things can be done anywhere, whether it's in an online school or a face-to-face school. However, I may be a little biased because I teach in a public school, but I do think that this statement is an overgeneralization. Going back to the video, one of the cyber school teachers actually talked about how online schools have to work harder to form positive relationships, which I think is probably true, being separated from the computer screen. But towards the end of the video, she even admits that even though it is a connection, it's not the same connection like you would have in a face-to-face school, which I think is huge because I would say the majority of my day is relationships, and it's not even really teaching. So I really wanted to look at this aspect of relationships even more. So we've been doing a lot of professional development with John Hattie's Visible Learning. And John Hattie has decided that teacher-student relationships have a 0.72 effect size on student learning, which is huge. So if you're not familiar with John Hattie's visible learning or effect sizes, anything that scores above a 0.4 has a direct correlation to student success. So with the teacher-student relationships having a 0.72, that's a pretty great indicator that it's very important for student success, and it really focuses on those relationships. And then it also kind of reminded me of The Invisible Classroom by Kirk Olson, and a quote from The Invisible Classroom on page 64 says, "The invisible classroom is a collection of continuously active neurological and human connections that have an immense effect on learning, but little to do with the actual content of the lesson." So I wanted to point these things out because I think a lot of times people leave out the relationship piece when they talk about good teaching and focus more on best practices or curriculum or lesson plans. And I do think the quote, "good teaching is good teaching," is an overgeneralization because being a good teacher goes far beyond actually just teaching. And I think a huge part of the day is really forming relationships with your students. And I think that part isn't the biggest part of the quote, good teaching is good teaching. And I think it should be. The next thing I chose to look at was the challenges that online teachers face. So once again, like I said before, I am biased towards face-to-face teaching, but I would really like to get past that and know more about these challenges of online school so that I can kind of see it from a different viewpoint. I guess I just don't know enough about it now, and that's kind of why my walls are up. But one challenge I thought was interesting was the personal lives of students and how teachers don't understand what's going on in a student's personal life, which can be frustrating and a downfall. I would like to know more about how online cyber school teachers really address this problem and how they combat not knowing what's going on in their personal lives and how they teach to the student when they don't know these things. And then I also thought the challenge that teaching online takes up more time than a face-to-face environment was pretty interesting. At first, I was kind of thinking, no way, that is not true. But once again, trying to broaden my horizons, see all aspects. And I was wondering, is this time it takes to create lessons and content, or is it really just a general statement that it takes more time out of the day to teach online than it does face-to-face? Because I think I do a lot of things throughout my day that you couldn't do online, going back to just that relationship piece, even once again, and between like eating lunch with students or taking care of family problems or behavioral problems or going out to recess with students, I think is a huge chunk of the day that is not online. But I could see where creating lessons and content and things and taking the time to figure out new technology would take a lot of time. So I guess I was just questioning what part of the day really takes up all that time. Okay, so moving on to the standards and the commercials. I thought the commercials were good. I thought they included a lot of information, and they definitely really emphasized differentiation and teaching to the individual and not the group, and individual learning plans, which could fit with a variety of standards, especially standard F about incorporating accommodations for a variety of students. I was surprised that the commercials did not emphasize technology as much, because a lot of the standards did talk about technology and using it efficiently and using a variety of different resources, but that wasn't really mentioned in the commercials, which I thought was weird, a little different, especially when you're advertising an online school. And that's pretty much all I have. Thanks for watching. I look forward to interacting and having conversations with all of you guys and really learning more about online teaching.